Hey guys, and welcome back to another Unfiltered Gamer double feature card game review. Today's games up on the tabletop are going to be the Cursed Cat and the Forest Rivals. This is by Button Shy Games. The first game here, the Cursed Cat, is a single player game. It's kind of like a solitaire style game. And Forest Rivals is a grid-based management game for 2 players. And basically the Button Shy game series are 18 card games that fit inside a wallet. It's a small little wallet that it comes with, as well as the rules, and you can take it literally anywhere. You can put it in your pocket, your purse, and play it pretty much anywhere as well, as long as you have the tabletop space for the game. Each one of these games are very, very different, but they all synergize in the same way. 18 card game fits in the size of a wallet and plays between 1 to 4 players. We'll cover this one first, the Cursed Cat. We'll move on to Forest Rivals. We'll talk about how the games are played, and then of course we'll cover them in my review. Well, let's get into it. Alright, so let's cover the setup for both games, and we'll start with the Cursed Cat. The first thing you do is you take your lab, spellbook, and portal cards and place them adjacent to each other in a row, and then you're going to go ahead and take the rest of the cards in the deck. These cards are double-sided. One is going to have the spell side, and the other is going to have the monster side. And shuffle these cards up. Once you've shuffled these cards up, you're then going to lay them down on top of the lab, spellbook, and portal based on the difficulty of the game. We're going to show you a medium-sized difficulty, so in this case here we're going to have 4 cards on the lab, we'll have 3 cards on the spellbook, and 1 card on the portal, with the remaining cards being flipped over and turning them into the spell deck. Then, if you're playing the medium style way of playing the game, as opposed to going for like a harder mode, you can go ahead and take the top card from the spellbook deck, and you're going to go ahead and discard that card, so that way you are not going to be using it for the game. And then from there, you're going to go ahead and take all the cards you see here and move all the highest valued cards to the left of the rows, not columns. So 6 is good, 8 is good, 13 and 15, we'll rotate these so that 15 is on my left. And then we have a 14, 5, and 3, so we'll take the 14, put it on the left, and the 3 and put it on the right. Now I've got the lowest value cards on this column here, and the highest value cards on the opposite end. Or sorry, the highest on this end and the lowest on the opposite end. Then you'll take this deck of cards here with the spells and you'll lay out 3 of them. These are going to be your optional spells you can use throughout the game. So you'll have your discard, you'll have your deck, and then you'll have your 3 spells. But all of them are face up, so you can use any of them except for discarded cards. And there you go, that's the setup for the game, the Cursed Cat. Now let's talk about Forest Rivals, another easy setup. In Forest Rivals, you're going to start with 2 cards. There's the first player card, and then there's the largest group / dominant group card. Just go ahead and place those facing anywhere on the table here. Then you have 2 decks of cards. You're going to have bees and you're going to have bears. These are then going to be shuffled and then given to the players that are playing the game. It's always 2 players, so it's me versus you. And now we each have our decks. Then the first player, I guess you're going to go ahead and flip this card here, and that'll be the bear player. And you give that first player card to the bear player because they're going first, so they're going to get a bonus victory point because going first is kind of a negative. The largest group / dominant group is kind of set aside, and then the first player is simply going to take a card from the top of their deck. They can go ahead and shuffle if they want as well. And they're going to go ahead and play that card onto the table in the middle area because that is the starting card that will be played in the game. Once that's done, it'll go to the next player and the game will begin. Yeah, pretty simple as well, right? So let's go ahead and get into how to play both of these games, and then we'll talk about my review. In the Cursed Cat, the game has basically 2 things you do on a turn. You're going to relocate cards and then cast a spell, and you will rinse and repeat this process until either all of the cards from the lab and spellbook columns move into the portal area or get discarded, or when the deck and cards run out from your spellbook. If you manage to get them all to the portal, you win. If your entire spellbook goes away, you lose the game. You can't draw any more cards, essentially. How does it work for relocating cards? Well, you'll have to follow a size rule, meaning that whenever you place a card down, that card or relocate a card, that card has to be lower than the card you put it on. And you can only put it on cards on the top of these columns here. So if I wanted to play a 6 and I wanted to move it somewhere, I could move it onto this 9 here because 6 is lower than 9. And now I have moved it. And I can go ahead and do that twice if I'm able. I can take this 8 card and move it on top of this 14 card. So I've done my 2 reallocations and now I can cast a spell. The back of each of the monsters has a spell on it. That's how you kind of form the deck, is whatever you don't use in terms of the monster qualities is going to be a spell you can use. And they all have kind of unique abilities, like Whirlwind. I can swap 2 columns of equal height cards. So if I wanted to, I can play Whirlwind. This card gets discarded essentially. And I can take these columns here and swap them, swap that column with this column right here. And now I'm progressing my way across the table because my objective is to get the higher value cards on the portal from the highest value on the bottom to the lowest value on the top, because that's how the reallocation rule works. If you cannot cast a spell, like it doesn't work, it kind of fizzles for whatever reason, it's like unable to be played, you're essentially going to lose a reallocation on the next turn. So instead of getting 2, you will only get 1. But if you successfully cast the spell, the round begins again and you get 2 reallocations again. So I can move this 8 on top of the 15, I can take the 6 and move it on top of the 8, there's my 2 reallocations, and now I can cast a spell. As you'll note now, there's only 3 spells as opposed to the 4, and if you ever play on top of the deck, you're going to actually keep the cards there being face up, so there's always going to be at least 1 until all of them are gone. But once you have used the 3 that you have revealed, those are just gone. You don't get to refill them. Vertigo, choose 2 vertically adjacent monsters with a size difference of 5 or less, and you can choose to swap their positions. So if I wanted to, I could essentially swap 2 vertically adjacent monsters like this, and then I would discard the card here. And that's how the game goes. You just keep playing the game up until you can get all the monsters in this portal row. And if you can do that, these all will go away and you will win the game. And if not, if this deck here runs out, if you've played all of these cards here or had to fizzle the spells and you're out of cards and you want to draw again, but you still had monsters on the field, then you're going to lose the game. Obviously follow the rules as to placement for monsters, always having to go from the ones you place, being the lower monsters, going on top of the high monsters, and obviously getting all the cards from the spell book in the lab into the portal area. And that's it. It's just a straight up solitaire style game, and it's ever changing due to the fact that the different monsters will show up and the spells allocated in the spell book will be different as well. But yeah, there you go. That's how you play the game. We'll talk about now Forest Rivals. So in Forest Rivals, this game is even simpler when it comes to how you play the game. Basically, you take the top card of your deck after the previous player went, and then you're going to go ahead and place your card on top of any card on the field. So you're creating kind of a grid. Now, what's cool about this game though is you can cover 1, 2, or even 3 of the symbols from any of the cards. So for instance, I could play adjacent to this card, so I can play just next to it, in any of the top, bottom, left, or right positions. Just like that would be fine. I can also cover things. I can go ahead and cover 3 symbols. I can cover 2 symbols. I can cover 1 symbol. But there's one rule with covering. If I cover a bee symbol, the beehive symbols, this little bee honey hive, in order to do so, I have to cover it with another bee hive, just like that. But otherwise, feel free to cover how you want. You cannot place adjacently. You cannot you cannot place adjacently, basically. You can't cover 3 adjacently, or so diagonally, I should say. I keep saying adjacent, I mean diagonally. And you can't cover more than 3. So I can't cover 4, I can't cover an entire card. So basically how this would work is the bear guy would have played, then the bee player will look at their options and maybe they'll cover it like this. Then the bear player is going to get a chance to go, and maybe they'll play something like that. And then the bee player will go and play something like that. And you will just keep going throughout this game, playing your cards, creating kind of a grid. Now, what's the point now that you understand how you play the game? I draw a card, I play a card, I can cover up to 1 to 3 things. I can place adjacently, cover nothing up, and I have to place beehives on beehives. Well, you are trying to get the largest or most dominant group, and you are trying to completely surround the beehives. In order to do so, or I guess they're beehives, they're honey pods, whatever you want to call them. In order to do that, you'll look at the 8 spaces around it, and you'll count how many bears or bees there are, and whatever one is dominant, meaning has the most symbols, will be the winner. So in this case here, we got 5 bears and 3 bees, totaling 8. That means the bears dominate this and will receive 1 point at the end of the game. And you'll do that for every single hive that has been completely surrounded by 8 symbols. So there could be a total of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points, maybe even more for these hives here as you place them down. The largest group / dominant group, however, you'll score either 1 or 3 points at the end of the game, and it will be only for one person. You have to have 1 to 4 more animals than your other opponent. So if I cover up enough of your bees, maybe I'll have 4 extra bears. That'll score me an extra 1 point at the end of the game. However, if you really dominate and you cover up even more than 4, if you have 5, 6, or 7 bears that are more than your opponent, you'll get actually the dominant group, which will score you 3 points. And those are the 2 main ways to score the game. And the last thing is, obviously, don't forget the first player gets a bonus victory token here, a little marker here, which will give you 1. So essentially, you'll get 1 point for every beehive you surround. You'll get 1 or 3 points for having a large or dominant group. And then you get 1 point for scoring to be the first player, basically, because you kind of start at a loss. There you go. That's how you play this game as well. They're both pretty simple, right? Well, what do I think about them? Alright, so my review for the game Forest Rivals, or as I like to call it, Bears and Bees, and this one here, the Cursed Cat. I just call it the cat game. Let's cover the Cursed Cat first. We'll do them individually here. The Cursed Cat has a large variety of artwork. Each card is going to have its own unique style of monster or portal creatures that will be summoned from the cat. The story is that the cat has run amok in your laboratory. I guess you're like a wizard or a witch, and your familiar's kind of gotten away with murder by just throwing around a bunch of your pages from your book, summoning monsters, and now you got to put the world right and throw them all back into the portal. Theme works pretty well. The idea, obviously, is to move your cards from your left to your right with basic rules such as to move cards, you have to move lower cards on top of higher cards, and you have to utilize your spells from the deck, basically just all the monsters you're not using on your lab, spellbook, and portal, as spells. And each of the monsters all have their own unique spells on them, including the ones that you're playing with. Now, you don't use these, but these will be used for another game, so it keeps the complexity and stylization different each and every time. It also adds a lot of choice to start the game off with having 3 cards plus the top of your deck, which you can pull from. But once you've used those cards that are not on the top of your library, now you're stuck with just using the 1 card that you have from the top. So you need to kind of weigh out, is it worth using your 3 cards that could be useful later for using the card on top of your library? Maybe this card is slightly worse, but these are stronger for a later time, and you have to kind of weigh that situation out. I like that. I also like the idea of the rules on how you can move the cards and kind of manipulate the decks. Each of the unique specific spells can be very powerful or very weak, and it really all depends on the situation. Sometimes you'll want to do something, other times you won't, and when you choose to utilize the cards makes a huge difference in the game. What I also like about the Cursed Cat is there's a difficulty ramp up. You'll add basically more cards to the lab, spellbook, and portal areas. They have this kind of little grid here. So it's 4-2-1, 4-3-1, and 5-3-1 that you'll be adding. So 5, 3, and 1 is the hardest difficulty. And there's an extra added layer of difficulty by removing the top card of the spellbook and discarding it, or leaving it there if you want to add even more complexity and challenge throughout the game. I mean, if you really want to make it even more challenging, you take these 3 cards that you would make up for your book, just place them right on top there, and now you have one of the most, I guess it was something like something like this, like the most challenging variation of play, and you just got this little tiny deck here. So you're never going to run out of challenge for the Cursed Cat. This is going to be a game that has a large variety of coming back to playing the game, but it does essentially play the same way. There's no reinventing the wheel here. I have played other solitaire games like this. This one obviously has some differentiation. It's how you're moving the cards and the fact that each of the cards have kind of a double meaning and utilization that makes this game really cool. I have given away a lot of button shy games because eventually what happens is I play them quite a bit, and then my wife plays them quite a bit, especially the solo ones, and from there we kind of played it. We've done all we wanted to do with it. So we're like, okay, let's pass this along to somebody for Christmas or a birthday or something like that. And this is one of those that actually I think will stay for quite a while with us. This is one that I can beat on normal mode with the upgraded benefit of not discarding the card and leaving it on top there to make it even more challenging, but I can't beat it any farther. There is some complexities. And I think that has to do with a little bit of random chance as to the cards that you get on the field, and also like the spells you're able to utilize. But I think it's also choices. I've made some poor choices each and every time I played that more difficult setting, and I've learned from it. And so I will be crushing this game up until I can get at least to the hard difficulty with the discard, I think, and not the whole shebang. Like even like this looks a little too challenging for me probably. But once I get there, then it'll be one of those games that I'll also want somebody else to pass along and try. As far as the solitaire game goes, it's really nice. I like the stylization of artwork. I think it's really excellent as far as the artwork goes. Probably one of my favorite artwork style games for Button Shy games. The solitaire mode, it is a strong 10. It does exactly what I would like from a solitaire-based game. And it's, you know, I'm not a huge single-player gamer. So when I come across a game that makes me want to jump back in and try again, that's got to account for something. And so, yes, this one is a solid game for me. I'd say it's a solid 8 out of 10. The only way I'd probably like it even more if there was some way I can incorporate an extra person into it, but I'm not going to fault it for that really necessarily. The reason why I'm giving it 2 less points is because sometimes it really just comes down to the cards that you get in your deck versus the cards that are going to be on the field, and in which case it might even be impossible to win. I'm not sure, I haven't played enough of that, so don't quote me on that, but it's definitely that there's definitely true that there are some combinations that are much harder than others, and there's not much you can do about it except play the best you possibly can, which can be a positive or negative for you, but for me it's a little bit too much challenge. Okay, so anyway, there you go. That's the Cursed Cat. I just love the artwork. It's super cute, super fun, a little spooky, good for Halloween too. Okay, now we have the Forest Rivals. Bears and bees. Bears versus bees. You're playing the card. Next player is gonna cover up your symbols for their symbols, and we're just gonna go back and forth until until everybody has played all their cards, and hopefully you've scored enough points to win the game, right? In the game for Forest Rivals, your objective is to cover your opponent's symbols. That's important, right? The more you cover, the better. Also, where you cover matters because you're attempting to basically surround these little honey holes, honey pots, beehives, and you're also trying to place out as many as you can, right? In some cases, maybe you want to slow the game down, in which case you might want to cover up another hive there if you're looking to try and score in a different way. But this is essentially a tactical grid-based management game. There's a large variety of ways you can cover up cards, and surprisingly it works really well. I was kind of nervous when I'm like, can I place really on all 3 here, or just these 2, or just this one, and what does it look like if I do this? And it actually works really well. The game is simple. This is probably one of the more simple games I've played, and the idea, well, from Button Shy games, right? It's one of the more simple, basic grid-style management games. You're just dropping cards down, surrounding the beehives, and trying to cover up your opponent's symbols. So that's the majority of what the game is, and you have to kind of look on the board as to where you place. Obviously, going first does come with a detriment because your opponent's going to be covering up your card once you play your card, and so giving that 1 point is actually really nice. So actually a really smart way of doing it in gameplay. A lot of games don't do this, do not provide a benefit to a player who's actually starting at a detriment, so big kudos for that. And then the largest and dominant groups here, yes, the more you cover up your opponent's symbols, obviously the more you're going to be likely to win in general, and this just pushes that point home even farther with the dominant group. If you lose the dominant group, if somebody has a dominant and you don't, you've probably lost this game. This game is going to be a tight game though, right? In each of these cards here, you'll notice that bears, we're going to always have 3 bears and 2 bees and a single honey. And then on the bees, it's always going to be 3 bees, 2 bears, and a single honey for each of these cards here. So you're only getting 1 symbol extra per card. So it really comes down to how you place and where you place in this game. That being said, it's a pretty straightforward game. There's a lot of there's even a little bit more than a little bit. There's a lot of complexity to how you place your cards. It does matter. It does make a difference in terms of where you place and what you cover up. You can cover up your own symbols, and sometimes that's actually relevant. You can cover up your opponent's symbols, which is the majority of the time what you're going to be doing. And sometimes you'll want to actually cover up certain what do you call it? You want to cover up certain of the beehives so that your opponents are not able to score points, and you can kind of control an area and prevent more beehives from spawning. Basically, I classify games like this, games I always win against my wife the first game, and then I never win again afterwards. I get the basic premise of these type of games, and I can do pretty well, but afterwards, she's always like a hound. She's like found the scent now, and now she gets it, and then she just crushes me. So it is a challenge for me with these games. I played probably 3 or 4 times, and I won the first game, and I lost the last 3. My wife has basically completely dominated me. What ended up happening with these games is she keeps the games, waits for her girlfriends to come over, and they play it, and then they can go back and forth crushing each other. That doesn't mean I don't like these games. I really do enjoy these games. I think this is actually a really solid, straightforward, simple version of a kind of area control game. Grid management, it works. It does exactly... This is one of those games where you see it, and do you like grid management? Do you want to play a game with cute bears and little cute bees? There's not a huge amount of art. It's literally just bees, bears, the symbols, and the honey hives. That's it. So it's really, really straightforward. I enjoy this game. If I was asked to play this game, I would absolutely play it. Just maybe not with my wife, because I'm tired of losing. I don't feel like I'm getting better against her. Or if I am getting better, her line on the graph is like going up way higher. But yeah, if you want to play with me, I will play this game with you. Of the 2 games, personally, yes, I do like the Cursed Cat more. I feel there's more of a variety to the game, and it doesn't feel kind of as samey. But that being said, they're very, very different games. So if you're looking for a grid management game that's simple, that plays 2 players and fits in the palm of your hand, then this is going to be a solid choice for you. There's nothing really negative I have to say about this game, other than once you've played it 5 to 10 times, you've probably learned most of what you're going to learn, unless somebody else with a 150 IQ comes along and explains like some unique nuance that you might have missed. Whereas the Cursed Cat, it's a little bit more refreshing of a game. There's a little bit more options you have. And that's interesting too, because it's a solitaire game for me, right? And I usually typically prefer more, in fact, I would even give it less points, typically speaking, not in this case, but if it was a solitaire and only played solitaire, but it just does everything I liked about a solitaire style game. And this one, maybe I'm just spiteful from losing all the time. I don't know. You have to decide for yourself. But if you're looking for a grid-based management game, yes, pick this game up. And if you're looking for a solid solitaire game that feels a little different, but it's not something that you're like too far away from like any other type of solitaire game, you're gonna like that one as well. Either way, you can go ahead and pick up these games. There'll be a link down below in the description for you to decide if you want to pick them up or not. I got nothing really terrible to say about them. They play really, really excellently. They work really well, and they fit the button shy theme of games. I'll be keeping the cat one for a while, and my wife will be stealing the bears and bees one for a while as well. Thank you guys for watching our Unfiltered Gamer double feature review for button shy games, the Cursed Cat, and the Forest Rivals games. If you want to pick up either of these, like I said before, there's a link in the description. If you like my videos and you want to see more, go ahead and like this video. Let me know which game you actually would prefer to play, whether it be Forest Rivals or the Cursed Cat, and what your favorite button shy game is as well. Now, remember, I should mention too, this is a Scott Alms game, the Cursed Cat, and yeah, I love all of his games. He's done a few button shy games, and so I think I even have one of his games back here as well. If it's not, it's one of the big ones over there. But yeah, he's a great designer. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I gave you some more options to select when it comes to some smaller card games that fit in the palm of your hand. The power of the sun in the palm of my hand. Who said that? Bonus points for you. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. See you next time.